Welcome to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up. This podcast is a production of Elevate, an online learning platform for fundraising event professionals. We're coming to you today from the studios of the AV department. Please welcome our hosts, Kristen Steele and Samantha Swaim.
Hello, and welcome to the Fundraising Elevator, where we are all headed up. Today, we are going to talk menu magic, and I am so excited about it. But first, an announcement, because Elevate Conference is coming up March 12th and 13th. That feels like a long ways away, but it's not. It's coming right up. It's your chance to send your fundraising event to school. And Elevate Conference early bird pricing is still happening for both virtual and in person. The conference is held in Portland, Oregon, but through the wonders of the interwebs, you too can tune in from wherever you are.
Or travel. Come join us.
Or travel. Please come. Early bird is good through November 8th. It'll give you 50% off virtual registration, 25% off in-person registration. Please visit elevatenonprofit.com and join us.
Yeah, as a little added incentive, Chef Kiara, who's our guest today, is going to be doing the food on day 2.
Yeah.
So after you learn a little bit about Chef Kiara, hopefully you'll be motivated to join us at Elevate.
Yes.
Indeed.
Well, Chef, you and I first met because we were doing an event together called Taste. And Taste is an annual celebration of BIPOC, all sorts of folks, BIPOC chefs, winemakers, community advocates, folks doing great work in social justice spaces. Yeah. And you were a chef last year that was selected for that. This year, you're one of the lead chefs coming up on November 15th. So if folks want to check out Taste for Equity, it is coming up soon around the corner. But very quickly, I learned a little bit about your work, your style. You were a chef, really started your business in Florida. Mm-hmm. Now you're kind of bi-coastal, having business in both Portland and in Florida. Floridian, did I say right?
It is, you did.
Floridian cuisine is sort of your specialty, informed by sort of the Caribbean influences around the Florida coast.
For sure.
You're doing something unique here. You're doing some cool, really food-centered catering, and bringing you into events has just been such a joy because I feel like it brings the food experience front and center to the guest experience. And so big picture, big question, we want to talk to you today about the menu choices, the food style choices, how you make design choices for nonprofit galas. So welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate y'all. This is fun. I can't wait. Finally, someone who wants to listen to me talk about food and menus and what you should and shouldn't do.
Finally, I'll listen to you every day.
All day long. I'm here all day long.
Especially if she brings goodies because you
seasoning.
Have some good food.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
happy to be here.
We should promote your fry seasoning because you were at Elevate last year. You made our delicious chips that we served during a break. They were like delicious potato chips with your fry seasoning on it.
Crack in fried potato form.
They were so good that we had a guest say, if you have any extra. So one of our auctioneers that was teaching at the event auctioned them off for, no joke, $2,000 for a plate of potato chips because the fry seasoning is that good.
Oh my goodness.
And people can buy your fry seasoning online, so they should go check it
They
out.
can on my website.
We will link to all of these things in the show notes so that you too can experience.
Yes. And we got a few more seasonings pending that we're hoping will be ready by the time Taste rolls around November 15th. So that's the goal. We're going to drop 5 more on you. So if you like that one.
If one was good, 5 more is going to be amazing.
We're not even going to slow walk it. We're going to hit you with 5 more really quickly. So I hope y'all like that.
So you can have Kitchen Killa in your home.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Cook like a chef.
Well, tell me a little bit about your thoughts, your sort of approach to how food impacts a gathering. How do you approach an event from the beginning?
Well, truthfully, what is a gathering without food, right? It's a meeting. You know what I mean? And if it's a meeting, then it should have been an email if there's not food, right?
It should have been an email.
That should have been an email. Has to be on a T-shirt for me. Yes.
But food, I think, is a vital part of gatherings, right? Whether they're galas or, casual meetings, family gatherings, meet and greets. I think, food is a gathering place, literally, right? It's the place where everybody has to come and get the thing. It's like the water cooler, but better. And then it's an opportunity for folks to to talk about something. It's about bringing them together, right? It's a connector, essentially. Yeah. And no matter what it is, good, bad, okay, right? They're gonna talk about it.
They will.
And they will share, right? They'll share, oh, this reminds me of, a time I was in wherever, And so, I think food is such a vital part of events, and people kind of sometimes forget about that. And so it's, we just need food. No, you need good food. You need good food because it will instantly increase the temperature in the room, right? It'll instantly increase the energy in the room. And then you get more out of folks, right? Whether that's conversation, whatever it is that you're looking for in people in that room, you'll get it from them if they're happy with their food,
Well, I think that the event that you and I recently did together, they had been experiencing their event for many years in a hotel ballroom environment. Mm-hmm. And when you entered the picture and designed a menu for them and talked about seasonality and what was going to be local and fresh, it took their event to the next level. And people actually left the event talking about the food and the food experience, where it had kind of been in the background before. It was just like, it's, whatever the hotel serves. But it was transformative for what was possible.
Well, and I think what's interesting about that, and I think that you bring to the table in a really specific way, given your geographic diversity of where you drop in, those Florida and Oregon, very, very different.
Very different.
But then also food itself, to me, has such identity beyond the user, right? Like it's got its own politics, availability, seasonality.
Totally.
People went to war over this ingredient sort of thing.
Totally.
And then you give it to a chef, takes on a different identity.
Right.
And then you give it to a consumer, and it takes, so like all those different layers of identity that comes through that food. How the hell do you design a menu? Like with those pieces in mind, like how do you approach menu design for an event, and what informs that for you? Because the palette to me is mind-boggling of what could happen.
Right.
How do you even get to like, this is the plate?
Right. Well, there's so many things that go into play, right? When we're talking about food, and sometimes you have to talk about the logistics of an event and a space and the timing and all those things before you can even get to food. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so sometimes food is where I love to live, right? In the sense of when clients come to me, they want, hey, can you send me some menus? I'd love to, bro. But could you tell me where your event's going to be? Mm-hmm. Is there a kitchen? Uh-huh. You know what I mean? How many people will be there? What, do you want this served family style, or do you want it served plated? All of those things go into play, because if there's no kitchen, then that means we have to build that menu around something that will last from the time it comes from my kitchen to this place and hold in a safe, quality controlled way that will still look great and be tasty on a plate, right? We had a client the other day who said, I want fried chicken. We're like, okay, cool. Is there a kitchen? So you want me to fry chicken 3 hours out and then bring it to you and then I could, but that's not what you really want, And so sometimes when it comes to building menus, it's really about educating the client on, let's discuss your logistics. Let's figure out what your dynamics are of the entire space, of the room, of your guest. Are you going to have a room full of vegans? Will you have a room full of carnivores? Like that kind of thing. Let's discuss all of the details, and then let's talk about food. And so though I sometimes want to jump straight to food, there's so many other things that go into play. And then also, the main thing is, how much fun do you want to have? Do you want rubber chicken gala food, or do you really want us to wow folks? And if you do, let us do some really fun stuff for you. And then if they give us the opportunity to do that, then we ensure that it's seasonal, right? We ensure that it's something that'll hold in quality. We ensure that it's something that will speak to the entire room, regardless of dietary restrictions and allergens and all of those things. And something that we can get out quickly and look great on a plate, right? We think about all those things.
And I love that you do. No, I think we talk about this a lot. You use the phrase rubber chicken dinner. That's just become a thing that people expect when they go to functions and galas and events. Yeah. That if you notice the food, it's either that it's doing something really great or it's crap.
Yeah.
You know, when it's that kind of that middle, like lukewarm ground, it's not a part of the experience of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking, I'm thinking specifically nonprofit functions,
Mm-hmm.
how much is in the conversation of, do they have a kitchen? Because catering is portable,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so it has to be able to be executed in a variety of environments. But how much does the work of the organization and the mission of the organization also start to stream in as a story when you're thinking about menu and what's possible?
Well, it comes to play when you're talking about, one, feeding the community, right? And oftentimes, many of these nonprofit organizations, in some way or another, they are feeding, quote, feeding or serving the community.
Yeah.
And so in our effort, we want to replicate their desire to serve and the quality of what they're doing in the community in whatever form they're doing that. We want to replicate that on a plate to their 300 or 400 guests. And so, you know, when we're talking about sustainability, you know, and clients who are green, you know, we do a lot of compostable, you know,
Yeah.
dinnerware and things like that, right? We do a lot of sourcing from local farms. And so when we are talking to organizations that do things like taking care of children, we ensure that we have, you know, food that makes sense, right? That things that will transcend from young adults to children to older adults as well. So, you know, when it comes to what they do, we try our best to mirror that on a plate in terms of where we get our food from, in terms of who's working for us in the moment,
Yeah.
and then how we put it out and how we're able to serve them, whether it's buffet or plated or family style.
It's interesting. It's almost like you're talking about the politics of the food and less about the food itself, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's the where it came from, how it was sourced, who's serving it. But you just mentioned how it is being served. I want to talk about that because you also said, how much fun do you want to have? And for decades, we have done events where it is the same food service
Yeah.
at every single event. And COVID kind of pushed the boundary around like gather differently, do it different. Like this is a complete reset now. We get to like come in and break down the barriers of like, but we've always done it that way, expectation, and
Right.
say, well, let's do it different. How does like how you serve the food impact the fun you have, the menu choices? Like, I think there's so many different kinds of food service. And I want to talk a little bit about, do you have a preferred food service? How do you make those choices? How does
Yeah.
service come into play?
Man, right away, do I have a preferred food service? Yes. Family style is it. Family style is it for me. I think, well, let me back up. My background is in private chef work, right? And so as a chef, as a private chef, you're often feeding, you know, you prepare that food, you live in that food, you massage that food, you take care of that food, you serve that food, and then you watch. And then you watch, you like it? You like it, don't it? Yeah. So, you know, in that, my goal is always to please and serve, and that dish that I've taken my time to create, I want everyone in that room to feel that way.
Yeah.
And so when we serve dishes, no matter if it's 10 people in the room or 400 people in the room, our chefs are also trained that way. And so when we want to create a dish that makes sure that guest feels like they've been taken care of one, and not that they're just one of 500 in the room,
Yeah.
family style seems to be the best way to do that because we're able to plate food beautifully, but then also you're able to pass it around like you're at home.
Yeah.
And it again creates conversation. It creates energy at that table, which then turns into energy in the room. And so I think for us, you just get a better reaction from folks. You just get better energy in the room. You get better appreciation for the food. And so, you know, not to be long-winded, but that's my favorite.
Yeah.
But when we talk about spaces and rooms, again, it goes back to the logistics of your event. Are you a program heavy space where you got a lot of talking and a lot of showing? Then plated's probably best for you so that your folks can stay seated. There's not a lot of conversation around, pass me the corn, pass me the chicken. We drop that one plate in front of them. They can eat and continue while your program's going on. You know, and we find that to be pretty frequent, right? When folks have, you know, program heavy events and they want them seated, they don't want them bothered. Plated is typically the best way to go. If you are lower on your scale of budget, Buffet is always a play. I think buffet is really cool too because, again, much like family style, it allows you to go through that line and kind of be wowed by all the options. It also allows us to create so many more options for the dietary restrictions, for the gluten-frees, for the, the diet, no dairy, or the vegans, or the vegetarians, the pescatarians. Buffet allows us to put 7 or 8 things out, and there's something for everyone, if not 3 or 4 things for everyone.
Yep.
So I like buffet in that sense, and from a service standpoint, it takes a whole lot less bodies for us to manage that. So when we talk about being budget conscious, that's typically the way to go for nonprofits. But the flip side to that is that it gets your people up and moving, which kind of delays your desire to have them seated for a program.
Yep.
So, I think the planning around that has to go hand in hand if you're planning your run or show, but also planning for a buffet. You can't do those two things in a silo, right?
Yep.
So I think all of those things go into play. Stations is one of those fun things that if you have no program at all, do stations, right? And one time we did an event and they actually, along with our chef manned stations, they had someone from their organization kind of doing a thing, right? With their literature, with their thing. And so
that's an idea.
It was really interesting. So it really limited what was happening at the front of the room. But every time you went to the pasta station, there was somebody telling you about the youth they're serving. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Awesome.
And there was, I think there might have been a kid nearby. So it was cool. It was a little hectic from our side, having so many non-kitchen people near kitchen stuff. But it was fun. And again, I say, how much fun you want to have. So I think there are a ton of options, but keeping all of your food service options in mind while you're planning your run of show and your goals for the event, super, super important, right? I don't think food can be the like that last result, that last thing that you plug in. Like, oh, we want to do woo, 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 and also have family style. I might interrupt a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think some of that difference is seeing food, what it is, how it's served, what that does to the room. That's all part of the event story.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And how do we create an experience that feels cohesive for the guest so that they know how to participate and what's, just to your point where, when people are up moving around to a buffet station, somebody at the front of the room trying to do the program over the top of it, I, as a guest, might feel like I'm guesting wrong. Wait, am I supposed to be getting food now? I'm really hungry. So when those pieces work together as a guest, I know we're passing the food around. That's awesome. I can have seconds.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Exactly.
Versus my plate where it's like, as the gluten-free person, that's usually the vegan, gluten-free, like all the restrictions come on one plate, right? So I think thinking about all of those pieces and how that impacts the guest experience.
I also think one of the limitations we've seen so often in the nonprofit sector is the headcount dictates venue, right? So if they're a big headcount, a big gala event, it often limits our options on what type of venue we can be in because seating that many people you need a big venue, and then you're now in like hotels and convention centers. And one of the things that we've seen start to happen a lot more in the past couple of years has been we can have a really big headcount in an alternative venue that is not a ballroom, but that means food service is not seated at tables, right? So we're having a lot more events that are like in big theaters and big auditoriums, and then have these big party spaces that are food stations and are, the food is part of the party socializing time. The program is seated theater style. And it allows for us to kind of think more creatively out of the box about how do we get the audience's attention? And then also, how do we throw a really great party with really great food? And when we're in those big venues, it's really hard to bring in an amazing chef like you. We're stuck with the hotel's preferred choice,
Well, one thing, I just got approached actually by a nonprofit, by their event producer, and the hotel is open to them having a guest chef.
Oh.
So I think that might be kind of a workaround and something that we might be able to push back on, because I'm in the same boat, right? There are organizations that I want to serve in the form of being their catering partner, and they want me. But again, they got 600 people, 700 people. They can't do it at some of these venues and that we can serve. But a hotel is open to having a guest chef. And I think what that means, one, is that we can assist in the menu creation.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? So that experience becomes a lot more personal than it would be if you were working directly with the hotel. And the other thing is that we can have some input on how that gets executed.
Yeah.
And ensuring that the quality that you're hoping for still comes out. And not so mass production style, you know, as it would typically in some hotels and some of those larger centers.
So you get to sort of lean into the utilization of some of the infrastructure and be the ideation and the creative in the space. It's kind of an interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love it.
What's cool about us, and we are, you know, a small catering company, and by small, I mean, you know, we've been in business now 9 years and 5 years here in Portland. And we can do events up to, you know, 500-600 people. We have the bandwidth to do that. But what's great is that, you know, it's kind of this rock and a hard place where, you know, I don't have 35 employees to send you emails. You're going to email me. You're going to email my marketing director.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that is that you're emailing me.
Yes.
Right? And so when we're talking about food, you're not emailing some chef 3 rows down who's like, yeah, the cheapest carrots we can find are these, right? You're emailing me and my name is on the line, but also my relationship with you is on the line.
Yeah.
And I want to serve your people because I want to be able to come out there proudly and wave at your folks and say, y'all like that, didn't you? You know? And so we're going to take care of you in the sense of ensuring that you understand the processes that, like what we talked about earlier, the limitations, so that we can choose correctly, right? The difference between serving 600 people a chicken breast versus a boneless, skinless chicken thigh is, will that chicken breast be dry?
Right.
Or will that thigh be juicy? You know, and if I am someone far removed from being invested in this, then I don't care. I'm just going to do whatever you told me to do. But if I'm the person who's like, hey, this is my business, I want to serve you, I want to serve you correctly. Also, I am touching the chicken that will get cooked.
Right.
I'm going to make sure you have the best possible product. And so, you know, when we talk about things like that in terms of, you know, smaller catering companies versus larger catering companies, you know, don't be afraid if we can do the bandwidth. I think the good thing is that you got me. You know, you got me in every capacity. A client asked me yesterday, what color napkin should I get? I'm like, whoa, well, I'm not designed, but I can help you with that. You know what I mean?
Well, and I have seen you take it even one step further, which is interesting because I think actually a lot of our catering partners have done this in the past, but in particular, you invest in the event also. You have shown up for your client events and supported a table and brought your friends, your fans, your supporters, other clients that you're working with as a way to give back to the organization. And then I think you get to experience it from the guest side of things too.
Yeah, totally. Well, listen, my company's a Black-owned, female-owned, LGBT-owned company. And so, one, we employ people who look like us.
Yeah.
We want to serve people who look like us and do what we do and are who we are. But lastly, we want to turn around and support you, right?
Yeah.
So yes, please hire us. Please hire us. But also, we want to come and support. And we're going to bring people to sit at those tables who will raise money for your organization as well, because we want to be able to be truly a partner in that process, not just a taker, not just hire us. We want to be a partner and ensure that, you know, our network of people are now exposed to you and what you do, because we believe in what you're doing as well.
Well, and to me, it feels but there's a core essence of hospitality and food and how it's all the way through. So I'm emailing you and we're designing a menu and we're putting together this fabulous event, and you're invested in me, and it shows up in the plate for the guests. Like there's a continuum of energy happening in all of that. And to me, food is such a central gathering piece that it has to be considered, right?
Absolutely.
There has to be active choices made in it. And there's such an opportunity in it for it to become this heartbeat in the room that really connects people.
It's true. Well, on that note, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, I want to actually ask you a little bit about some of your design choices in your own events that you are producing. So we'll be right back with Chef Kiara.
Cool.
Unleash the power of events to energize your donors and amplify your mission. Join us at the Elevate Conference in 2025, where you'll learn the essential tools for planning a successful fundraising event. Book your tickets now for March 12th and 13th. This dynamic hybrid conference, hosted at Avenue in Portland, Oregon, and streamed live for our virtual audience, will equip you with practical tools, demos, and templates that you can put to work immediately. Don't miss out. Secure your spot today at Elevate 2025. Visit elevatenonprofit.com to register now. Elevate Conference 2025 is brought to you by Swaim Strategies and the AV Department, powered by elevatenonprofit.com.
Welcome back to the Fundraising Elevator. We are here with Chef Kiara of Kitchen Killa. We were talking about food service style before the break, and I want to talk about audiences. You have a presence in Portland, Oregon, and a presence in Florida, and have seen events and audiences differ from coast to coast. Talk to us about what some of that is. What does that look like?
The folks in Florida are hungry. Those are some eaters.
Okay.
It took me a very long time to scale back and understand that Oregonians don't eat that much.
Fascinating.
It's very interesting. Yeah, we could plan the same event and I could double up on food over here and run out and cut this food in half.
Wow.
And have just enough.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Food is absolutely a focal of events in South Florida, particularly. Folks come to events ready to eat. The program is secondary. Okay. Which in turn, I think when it comes to large events, whether they're fundraisers or, just events in general, the program has to be so elevated to keep the attention of folks. And I think that's just like a South Florida thing. I think if you're in LA or New York or something like that, very similar, because there's just so many things competing for people's attention there that you gotta, there's celebrity MCs, there's, celebrity special guests, and these are at nonprofit events, just all kinds of fireworks. And the food has to be amazing, and they are checking and they're eating twice for sure.
Is it as good the second time around as it was the first?
Yeah, they are. So but the flip side to that is that their budgets aren't as big for catering. So though they want it to be good, they don't spend the time to check the market on what that should cost.
Oh, interesting.
They don't, I won't speak in generalities, but oftentimes the catering budget is not prioritized.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And understanding that, but they want it to be good and they want to have a lot of it. So it's really interesting. Whereas here, one, like I said, we're still learning how to scale, right? To scale back. We've been here 5 years, and the first 2.5 of those were COVID years, right? Yeah. So understanding how people eat here, how frequently, how much in terms of how much, but also their desire to eat local.
Yeah,
is a huge focal point here. Eating local, eating sustainably, knowing where stuff comes from, supporting local farms, fresher, lighter, things like that. Though the menu writing is incredibly different on each coast. Absolutely.
I want to know about the events that you produce, because you not only cater folks' events, but you also produce events. You have a Thanksgiving event you produce. You have a whiskey event coming up that you need to tell us about. Yeah. And you're in the middle of planning your own wedding right now. So how do you make those choices? How is it different when you're designing for yourself versus for a client?
Well, one, I'll say, when you say I want to say we.
Fair.
So I want to say we. I have a very incredible fiance who doubles as my chief marketing officer. And she is doing the bulk of the producing of these events. Crystal Chanel, she's amazing. In between work meetings today, we had a wedding call with our planner and vendors and all kinds of folks. So she has taught me to understand why we do events. I am let's do it. And she would ask me why. And I'm like, 'cause I said so. 'Cause the people want it. And she's like, that's not enough. Sure, the people want it, but why do they want it? And what are you going to tell them when they get there? What do you need from them? What do they want from you? And so she has taught me to slow down, because I lead with hospitality and I lead with taking care of people. But oftentimes, if it were up to me, I'd just come out there and roll out everything. And then people would leave fat and full and not really sure why they just ate all that food. Why did I come here? And so what we are learning is one, why we're doing things, making sure that it is a reciprocal exchange of energy in the room, right? That folks are coming to do something for us. And whatever that thing is, whether it's show us love, whether it's to know that, hey, I'm supposed to leave here and know that they can do private events. I'm supposed to leave here and know that they can do a brunch. I'm supposed to know, or I'm supposed to have left here and met 10 people, whatever our goal was in that process, ensuring that that's very, very clear when people are signing up and then when they walk in the room and throughout the program and then when they leave. And that's literally goes for everything. Like you said, my Friendsgiving event, this brunch series we're planning, the wedding. Like, why are you coming to the wedding? Because we want to share in our love with you, right? So she's taught me to be very intentional about why we do events and putting the efforts behind the intentions and not just all the things.
Yep. Do you know about Priya Parker's work?
I don't.
The Art of Gathering is her book. She's a TEDx speaker, and she really frames it from that perspective of her experience. She was a conflict negotiator, and she would plan these events with very clear outcomes associated and have experiences that were vastly different than the celebration she was going to with friends and family, and was like, I feel like these two worlds should intertwine a little bit more. And talked a lot about designing with purpose. And we just celebrated 25 years together.
Hey,
and, the world has ebbed and flowed with marriage laws. So we've had 5 different weddings or commitments to each other.
Yeah.
And the one that we're about to celebrate 10 years ago that legally stuck, we were like, well, we don't have to follow the checklist. We don't have to design our wedding to be about the expectations of others. What if we design it to be what we want it to be? And we brought our closest friends together and family together, a very small group of people, and had a 9-hour dinner party where we involved the chef, or 9-course dinner party where we involved the chef and the bartender in doing pairings, and we paired with it a story about each person at the table.
Oh, man.
So that we could connect everyone in a deeper way to the food, to the experience, to each other. And then we had a whole weekend together. But if we had done that like the third day we were together, it probably wouldn't have made the weekend have much meaning.
Totally.
And so we did it as people walked in the door.
Yeah. And
then the dessert course, we stood up and made the story about ourselves and about each other and said our vows. And all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, they're getting married right now.
That's so cute.
And it was fun to think about the way that the food and the drink and the experience interplayed with the purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's something unique you bring to your events and bring to the table is that you're a partner to the nonprofit. You're helping them to get out of the churn of their, I have to meet these goals.
Yeah.
And you get them to pause. I've done tastings with you. They're like decadent experiences where you sit down over good food and you ask them the questions about what are we trying to achieve? What are the goals? What's possible?
Yeah.
So that you do have that energy exchange that then shows up. What in return is important for you in those conversations so that you can be a good partner? What do you need of a partnership from the nonprofit?
Woo, that was a lot, but it was good. What do I need? We need collectively as a company, we need acknowledgement. We need appreciation. And we would like for folks, particularly in that tasting setting, to be present and understanding why they're hiring us. I tell folks a lot, if food is the background, like the thing you just got to do for your event, don't worry about us.
Right.
Because that's you're not even going to respect this process enough to really appreciate what we want to do for you. And so what we hope with nonprofits is to understand why they're hiring us. It's one, because they want to create an incredible experience for their guests. And then two, because like you said, we want to get you out of what you've done all the time, right? There are a number of organizations here in Portland and certainly across the country, across the world, who are, their purpose in existing is to serve underserved people, Black people, brown people, LGBT people. But oftentimes in their biggest event of the year, right, which is their gala, their biggest spend in order to make the most money, they are hiring the same folks that they've always hired, right? And oftentimes these are dominant culture, men, straight men, all the things. And so we want them to understand that what you're doing is a game changer by hiring us. You're not just hiring another catering company. You're doing something that is in line with who you say you are.
Yeah.
Right? So embrace that and be proud of that and put that in your system, right? Get it in your system, get it in the system of the folks who are around you and in your organization and saying, hey, we're putting our money where our mouth is. And then this catering company is going to take care of us and take care of you. And we are saying, hey, we're about equity. We're about, serving folks. We're about building businesses. And this is how we're doing it, by engaging this company to serve us in our biggest spend of the year. And so we want engagement, right? We want them to really care. Yeah. And then we want them to listen, and allow themselves to be educated so that we can give them the best possible experience that they can possibly get.
Yeah. I think I want to just sort of underscore what I'm hearing, because I think it's critical. I think, I'm just going to say it. I think there's a race to engage vendors that check your boxes. But there is not the same urgency in the partnership that you have with those vendors before, during, and after the spend.
Totally.
And that is actually what you should be doing.
Totally.
And so what do the nonprofits need to bring throughout the process to you about their organizations and who they are to help that partnership go? So they're committed to being in this process. I think a lot of times, though, people don't see the food as like a huge experience and piece of what's happening. And yet we all know a hangry event and what happens to people.
How you beeline out of there to go right through the drive-through,
That's right. They're leaving, right?
They're leaving
your mission, your biggest night of the event, because you haven't taken care of them. So how can they show up during the process as representatives of that organization to help move the food and the mission forward?
Well, that's a great question. That's a good question. One, again, being present, but also providing resources, right? So whatever resources they have internally that allows them to continue engaging us, that's what they should do. We've had organizations say, hey, we want to hire you. Your invoice is a little high. Let us go talk to so-and-so and figure out how to do that. Or let us go talk to, New Seasons or Market of Choice to figure out how we can balance these things out so that we can make that work. Just understanding that the food, like we just said, will either keep people in the room or will get them out of there very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And if you understand that, we can work with you on how to elongate your program or your experience, not necessarily the program, but the event in itself, and how to keep people engaged or not.
Right.
But I think just being willing to be engaged is the biggest thing. And allowing us to do what's best for you and being open to that conversation. And then whatever you need in the process.
You actually directed me on an event that we were working on together in which you said, well, I can work within the frame of the budget if you give me the budget. But if I just am creating a dream, I can create a dream too. So give me the frame of the budget. The other thing that you have done, I think, as a small catering company, as an independently owned catering company, not a big like hotel kitchen, you're able to work with things like you just said, donated services, donated food, donated resources. But to me, that speaks a lot to you invest in relationship.
Yes.
And in the nonprofit world of fundraising is relationships. It's building relationships.
Yeah.
You build relationships through your food. And I think when you have a relationship with people, it's earnest and real, and you invest your energy back. And so I think if folks can't show up with their energy and invest in a relationship and see a checkbox or a vendor, then they're not getting the best out of what they could be getting out of your support and services. And I think that that's true with so many vendors, that the relationship is at the hub. How often do you have nonprofits that get donated product that you work with?
Frequently.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that catering companies are turning that down. I didn't realize that some folks are saying, hey, so-and-so is going to give us wine. Could you just have your servers pour our wine? And some folks are like, nah. And that doesn't make sense to me, right? Particularly if it's a nonprofit, right? We're not talking about a wedding. But if we're talking a nonprofit and we understand their mission is to raise money in this event, as long as we are careful in the sense of, ensuring that everything's by the book, we're getting wine from a vendor, right? We're not just running to Costco and grabbing stuff
Uncle
that's open.
Jim's got a van.
Right? Just backing it up from your garage. No. If we're getting, food's being donated, is coming directly from the purveyor, from the source. Those are things that we can manage and ensure that the quality is intact and above board. Then absolutely. It happens, I would like to see it happen more frequently. But that way we can focus on, and quite honestly, it's fun for us, right? If you say, hey, so-and-so has 30,000 pounds of tomatoes I can use, you know how much fun that is for me to figure out how I can incorporate tomatoes in your menu? Like that gives me energy, right? It gives me inspiration. It's not seen as some daunting task for us because, again, we're chefs first and then we're event producers, right? So, we're here again to serve. And if you take something like that off our plate, like having to source your wine or source your spirits or source your fresh salmon off the coast, then now we can focus on other things. So we'd love to see more of that. We're here for that. I think it works for everybody's mission. I don't want to charge you a lot of money, but I have to if you can't help me in the process.
Yeah. So I'm a first-time event planner. I work at this nonprofit. I'm responsible to the people we serve. I'm responsible to my executive director. I'm responsible to my board of directors. I've got a budget. I've got this event. I've got to get us to the finish line. You pull me aside and say, I've got a couple of tips. For that first-time planner, what are some things I should know, specifically when I'm talking to catering? And making some of those decisions in the balance with all of these things.
One, budget, right? Know what your budget is, know what you want to spend, and then also know where your flexibility is in that. Oftentimes folks will come to me and say, hey, we want to spend $10,000 and we got 10,000 people coming. And I'll come back and say, if there's any flexibility in your budget or your guest count, feel free to follow up. Understanding where your flexibility lies. And understanding too, is this about filling a room or is this about selling tables? Because there's a difference between selling tables and then actually filling the room with ticketed guests. The other thing is plan accordingly when it comes to the timing, of things. Plan accordingly when it comes to timing. It won't start on time. And chances are, if you're not script writing, it won't end on time. And so knowing that and where food lies in that, allow us to help you with the planning and the layout and the timing of that. Pick a venue first.
Yes.
You know, pick a venue first. Don't have me write a menu for a venue you don't know about because it may not work in that venue. So understanding your venues, allow us to do walkthroughs with your venues if you haven't chosen a venue, or if we haven't been to that venue already, allow us to go with you and search for those venues. There's so many things.
Well, what I want to pull forward that I think you're right on the money about is if you don't have a venue, you actually don't have an event.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you have a menu. Like you don't have an event yet, right? Contracted, not just some hypothetical holds, right? But also what I'm hearing, and I really want to underscore, is that you're engaging professionals who do so much more than cook, who have such a broad experience of group dynamics, event dynamics, layouts, planning, all of these pieces. Utilize them. Let them be the expert they are, so that I, as the first-time planner at this nonprofit that is completely overwhelming to me, can actually rely on your expertise and take that off of my plate. Yeah. Right? And then say to you, what do you need? How can we do this?
Totally.
What does that look like? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Thank some of our amazing partners, and we'll be right back with Chef Kiara.
Event planners are discovering Avenue, the Pacific Northwest's new AV-forward event venue, intentionally designed with nonprofit fundraising events in mind. From the 93-foot video production wall to the highest quality sound and lighting, premier AV features are included in every venue rental. You'll find the space and audiovisual enhancements to create your unique and memorable event. Visit avenueportland.com to schedule your personal tour.
All right, welcome back to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up. We're going to ask you to jump in the elevator with us. We close every episode with a question of our guests about a recommendation or a tip that you would have to help people head up. How would you give advice to a planner, nonprofit, getting ready for their big gala, to help them to take their event to the next level?
One, have a great host.
Yes.
Have a great host. I happen to know one.
I happen to know
Yes, you do.
I happen to know one. My fiance is incredible. But truthfully, have a great host, because hosting is the energy in the room. It is who pulls people together. That host pulls people together. It gets them where they're supposed to be. It gets them hyped up. Care about your food. Truly care about your food. Don't underestimate the food in the room. It will either make people be excited, or it will make them start looking for their keys. And if you have a goal, them looking for their keys is not what you want. It won't get you there. It won't get you there. And then lastly, invest in who you want to invest in you. Yeah. Right? That's in vendors, that's in your guests, that's in the venue. Like we just said, briefly over the break, let experts be the experts. Yeah. And pour into them, allow them to pour into you. Let that be a reciprocal experience, and let it be something that you're excited to do the next year. I think one of the biggest things is when you do an event after, when you do that debrief, what were you super excited about? Keep doing that. Yeah. And if you weren't excited about it, go try something else. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't have, there's so many galas. There's so many galas. Yes. There's so many galas. There's so many fundraisers. There's so many luncheons. And you can't think that just because you spent all year planning yours, that it's the only one people went to this year. Right. And so make it special. Yeah. Right? Figure out how to do something that's really, really fun. Sometimes folks are going to go to 2 in a night. Right? That's how do you make yours stand up? How do you make it stand out? Have good planners, have good support, fundraising. I think, now having been having watched them many times, the auctioneers are incredible. Yeah. Picking the right auctioneer really turns the tide in a room. Having really cool things to auction off is fun too, not the same old. But again, creating opportunity for folks to fellowship around good food is my soapbox all the time.
Yeah.
If you can get away with doing family style and shortening that program so that folks can really eat and spend money while they're eating, then do that.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about beverages at all, but being conscious of beverages. I think when you can do an open bar or something with, signature cocktails, that allows the lines to flow faster, that we can pre-batch cocktails so that gets people in and out of line quicker.
You just said the secret to that though. And I'm gonna emphasize that is the pre-batch.
The pre-batch.
We had an organization who was so excited to do custom cocktails, signature cocktails, and the team that they used did not pre-batch. And it took the longest time in the entire world to get through the
For
bar
those
line.
listening, Chef's eyebrow just went up.
And so the thoughtfulness that you bring into making sure that the guest is having a good experience, not just good food, not just a good drink, assures, in my perspective, that you have the right people on the team, right? That it's a team sport that we're engaging in here. And if everyone is working together collaboratively, it just takes it to the next level.
It's true.
Totally. I go to a lot of galas besides being, catering them, right? But I go to a ton of them, and I'm always looking around like, look at that long line. Look at this chicken.
We know too much. We're never good event attendees.
Not at
any
all.
of us.
Not at all. But it's beneficial to me.
Yeah.
It's beneficial to me and my team because I go back with notes and I'm like, bro, they were waiting in line 17 minutes because somebody wants to dip a cherry in an old fashioned, and that's not necessary. We could pre-batch that and then finish it and make it look like it was, it was custom made, which it was. We just did it 2 hours ago.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a perfectly good drink. And so I think guests appreciate being able to get in and out of that line. So one, they can focus on your event, right? Focus on what you have them there to do, which is raise money, tell them about your mission, get them excited about what you got coming up. So yes, fast food, hot food, pretty food, fast lines, good drinks.
Yep.
That's where we want to live, and that's where we want your guests. That's what we want your guests to experience while they're there, so that they can focus again on what you want from them in that space.
I love it.
The same drink will taste better to me if I didn't wait in line for it.
Totally, absolutely.
If folks want to get a hold of you and hire Kitchen Killa for their event, how should they do that?
Our website, kitchenkilla.com.
Great.
Yeah, Killa, Killa, kitchenkilla.com. If you'd like to hire us, we travel, not just to South Florida, but we go everywhere. We do events in Vegas and DC and all the things. We come built in with an event coordinator as well. Also with a host, an MC if you need one, but full service, which we're really excited about it. In Oregon, OLCC licensed bartenders and service staff, and then some licensed folks all over the country who can serve and bartend and all the things. But more importantly, creating custom events and custom menus for you specifically, for your event, for your guests, things that work. But our website's the best way to get in touch with us. We have an inquiry form on there. Tell us all about what you want to do. No event too small or big. Again, our background is private chef work, so we absolutely love doing intimate events. And we find those events to be cool for, your board members, for folks who, are your biggest donors, things like that. Those kind of pre-gala things or mid-year things. Those are really, really fun for us as well. And then we can do those big ones, 500, 600 people.
All the things.
Yeah.
We are going to put links to all of these in the show notes. For those listening, please come to the Elevate conference where Chef will be providing all of the food and fellowship on day 2. Also, November 15th at Taste for Equity.
And tomorrow's Halloween. Hope everyone has a great Halloween weekend. And most importantly, we have a very important election coming up. Please make your plan now. Please make a plan to vote. Take the day off. Expect to wait in lines. Take a picnic. Maybe we could get some tips on a good picnic offering, but be prepared because we want to make sure that everyone's voice counts, every vote matters. And we thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Chef.
Of course. Thank you. And for those folks in Portland, we have a brunch coming up, a pop-up brunch over at the Multnomah Whiskey Library. We'll have November 3rd and November 10th, a la carte, open restaurant style, open to anyone, even if you're not a member. I've written this very cool menu, I think, for brunch. That'll be really, really fun. So We hope to have you there 10 a.m.
Where do we find it?
Right now, you'll be able to find links on my website for information, also the Whiskey Library, social media, all the things.
Okay. We'll put links to that in the show notes as well.
Yay.
Thanks, Chef. It's
Of
always
course.
a pleasure.
Same. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
The Fundraising Elevator is produced in partnership with Swaim Strategies at the studios of the AV department. The program is produced and directed by Steve Osborne, with audio engineering and original music by Dwayne Anderson, Heidi Christensen, and Adam Breeden. Video production by Shannon Doran. Graphic design by Pendulum Creative Group. Marketing by Lisa Aragon. Support from Mary Elizabeth, Todd Campbell, John Lyles, and Andy Dowsett. And voiceover by Josh Boykin.
Hey y'all, it's Kristen. Before we leave, I want to ask for your help to make the podcast grow. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please like, follow, and subscribe to the Fundraising Elevator. And if you're getting a lot out of the show, share it with a friend. Leave us a review. These things help make sure that the podcast continues heading up. Thanks so much for being here and tuning in.
Thank you all for being a part of Elevate. Fundraising at events has been climbing and climbing and climbing, and we're seeing full rooms again, very exciting, and we're seeing money happen again.
We are stronger together, and Elevate is a powerful way for us to join forces for good.
When we co-founded Elevate, it was critical for us to take what we know and we get to experience in events and share it.
What's the next level of stewardship that we need to bring to our supporters, to our volunteers, even to our staff, to our colleagues, right? Because stewardship ultimately is caring for people.
For our team here at Avenue and the AV department, being a part of the Elevate conference is a cornerstone of our year in bringing together so many friends from our network in one space to learn from each other and to collaborate and bring what each individual group has learned to the table to keep all of our friends in the nonprofit sector as up to speed as possible on trends and best practices in the industry.
Little old streaming company in Portland has definitely branched out over the 3 years, and now we're still here in our own venue, which is great.
There's a great energy in this room, and it's not just in this room, it's all the folks that are joining us online. The speakers so far have been unbelievable. I could probably sit and listen to Sam Swain and Kristen Steele talk for hours, because everything that comes out of their mouths is just perfect nuggets for what we're all trying to achieve with our fundraising events.
I feel like every session so far has been so educational, so on topic, and really engaging and fun to be a part of.
There were best practices that were solid gold some years ago, but they're changing now, and especially around event fundraising.
During lunch today, my organization was featured, and we don't get the limelight too often, so I'm just really humbled to just, be in a great community of nonprofit workers. Gathering is a very important aspect of achieving community prosperity.
We at Kitchen Killa are super excited to bring in new, fresh food, great food, a food that's exciting for people to eat. When people eat more, they drink more. When they drink more, they spend more, and these organizations raise more money.
This was my first time coming, and I'm really glad I did. People seem really engaged. There's a lot of hooting and hollering and applause.
If you're in the industry and you're not here, you're doing yourself a disservice. I think it's important that you come, and you come every year, not only to connect and to gather, but again, to learn new things and to learn best practices. I firmly believe that this is the place to be for every single event planner, fundraising professional, those folks in the industry.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Unleash the power of events to energize your donors and amplify your mission. Join us at the Elevate Conference in 2025, where you'll learn the essential tools for planning a successful fundraising event. Book your tickets now for March 12th and 13th. This dynamic hybrid conference, hosted at Avenue in Portland, Oregon, and streamed live for our virtual audience, will equip you with practical tools, demos, and templates that you can put to work immediately. Don't miss out. Secure your spot today at Elevate 2025. Visit elevatenonprofit.com to register now. Elevate Conference 2025 is brought to you by Swaim Strategies and the AV Department, powered by elevatenonprofit.com. Are you ready to engage supporters and grow your base with your own podcast? Then let us introduce you to our partners at the AV Department in Portland, Oregon. In addition to delivering exceptional live event audiovisual production and videography, they also have a top-tier production studio and an expert team ready to take your content ideas to the next level. Contact the AV Department to schedule a consultation and start bringing your podcast vision to life.